Hi, I'm Jordan Morgan, and this is the big 6-foot alien cruiser. And I built this one to battle the big black ship I brought last time. But I think we have another video out from a few years ago, so if you're more interested in checking that one out, you can check that out there. But we'll start with the front of the alien cruiser. So in the front here, I have the command bridge and two really huge laser cannons. So
You've always got to have huge laser cannons.
of course, big ships, big guns. So in the front, I'll start by opening up the command bridge. I have a couple of, some side panels I can pop open on both sides. And then the middle actually gets to come out. And then I had the pleasure of Stuart from the Lego house stopping by, and he gave me one of his sig figs. So he gets to pilot the alien cruiser today.
Great honor.
Yeah, so it's really nice to meet him.
This section also has fantastic lighting in it.
Yeah, so for my lighting, I use LED lights. My dad taught me how to solder the LEDs, so ever since I started just soldering those in because they're really flexible and get into a lot of different places and fill in all those little details.
What else do we have up here?
So if I put this back real quick.
Yeah. I love how it just hinges in there so it stays nice and tight.
Yep. Otherwise, these ones I actually did wire lights into as well. And these can turn around via Mindstorms. So I don't have it in right now, but I can program this and have it turn up and down and raise it for wherever the other big ships are in the battle. So then as we work our way back, we kind of have the neck or the hallway area. And on the inside, we can open this up. So you can actually play with this just like a bigger Lego set. A little bit bigger than what's on the shelf, but...
What all were you able to include inside there?
So I was able to include some really large drone figures. If I can pull one out. There we go. So I built these guys just as flexible as a minifigure could be, so that the heads can turn, the arms can move up and down and rotate a little bit. Like that. So I just have some automated alien drones to help them battle and things like that. And some of my favorite pieces I've used are these trans dark blue windows. It's really old pieces, but I just really like the shaping of them. Just screams sci-fi. Then continuing the hallway into the back, we have even more that opens up. So you get a little wider area, so there's a little ramp on the inside, and that's a way that people can enter in the ship. And then I really took a lot of time to detail the inside walls and the flooring, so I really wanted to try to improve that area from my last ships.
When you're building inside the spaceship like this, is that difficult to kind of reach some of those areas and kind of put on all those details and greebling?
So I happened to build the base frame first before adding all these really big wing areas and things around it. So I was able to build those first on the inside while keeping in mind the outside shape. So doing that, I was able to get all those fancy little details. Then
got all the turrets on top here.
So I built lots of these little turrets. It's a really simple kind of design. Just using a couple of the brackets on the sides to really get all these little curved slopes on the edge, make it nice, rounded, and sleek. And then I get the pleasure of opening up this whole big top area. Let's grab a couple.
One giant playset.
Yes. So I'm just going to sneak behind you real quick and set this on the table.
Ooh, be very careful here.
So now, with the whole inside opened up, it's much easier to reach in here and be able to actually play around in here. We set up like different scenes in the battles, like kind of how I have up there. I have some Earth troops that somehow got into this alien ship and are trying to fight their way home. So hopefully they can get out. I think they will. Then you have a little function on the inside. It raises the ramp that you see from the other panel a little bit. There we go. So now that this ramp's closed, those troops aren't going nowhere.
What's some more of the details you have in this section?
So I'll point out a few of the favorite pieces I use in here. I use some of the engine block pieces. We can pull one out and see what those look like. And then I really liked the look of these. They just look like something electronic or something like that. So it looks really nice and functional.
Even the texturing in the floor is really nice with some of those sections kind of inlaid down there.
Yeah, I tried to include like deep vents and different like triangular textured flooring. Felt it added a unique texture, so yeah.
Then as we make our way back,
here's where the 3 big engines are that drive this ship around. And some of my favorite pieces I used are these big trans-green quarter domes. And I was able to stick LED lights in the back of them to really make it glow bright.
are those from some of the old like UFO space sets?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great piece there, and that green stands out so nicely.
Yeah.
You even got the rounded kind of engine sections here, which I'm sure isn't always easy to achieve with Lego.
Yeah, it was a difficult thing to start with, but with every single one of my spaceships, I always start from the engine and work my way forward. If I work my way forward back, somehow it just doesn't work for me. So I always start with the engines.
So is the scale kind of dictated by the engines then as you move forward?
That's correct, yes.
It looks like you used kind of a hinge technique to get that rounded effect.
Yeah, I used the hinge technique, and then I added in some snot techniques to finish curving around the panel smoothly. And then I was able to stick some LEDs to shine out, so you can see some of these trans dark blue lines actually glowing, and more of the lights that'll really stand out.
And then here you see a lot of the wiring, and obviously you've got a tremendous amount of lights that add so much color and pop to this build, but you've got to have all those wires hidden in there somewhere.
Yep. I like to fish the wires through the Technic holes, so that's, I find, the best way that keeps them stable, and you don't have to worry about wiggling them around too much. So pretty stable.
So as you're working on a build of this size, how do you keep those wires and that lighting in mind? Are you adding that in kind of as you build each section, or is that all at the end?
Yeah, as I build the structure, I keep in mind where the wire needs to go. So I make sure that there's a nice sturdy path, and that's hidden away from the inside and the outside as much as possible. So that way you don't see none of the wiring if you're looking from the outside.
And then as we move our way to the outside, talk about all of the detailing greebles there, because that's just as impressive as what you have inside.
Yeah, so a lot of times I like to, it's just kind of my style where I wrap the outside details into the inside. It's just a unique way I found of doing the detail. So again, I use some of those similar greebles, like these round pieces here. Looks like mechanical or electronical to make the ship work. At least for my greebles, I didn't think of too many specific functions, but I just know there's so many things to make a spaceship eventually work, though we haven't got that far yet. Yeah.
No, that's fantastic. So you mentioned you kind of built the core area and then added on these like outside panels?
Yeah, that's correct. And one of the most challenging parts, I would say, of this one was figuring out the angle of these big side panels. And the only thing I found that really worked, that was strong enough, was the really big Technic turntables. And I was able to at least rotate it, and then I used the big Technic beam hinges to really get a sturdy structure in the angling.
I mean, it's a great technique, and there's a tremendous amount of weight here, I'm sure, as well. So how do you kind of keep that in mind as you're building this, especially with like this front section that's hanging off on its own?
Yeah, so overall, this is a couple 100 pounds. So Originally, I was going to actually split it into multiple sections. Future me wishes I did not do that, and made it into two, splitting from that front that hangs off. But this is one big piece, and me and my dad, we make big custom wood crates that transport these big ships around.
It's a spectacular ship. How did you decide on the color coordination here? I know you've got like the all black ship over there, so how did you decide what this one would look like?
So I just kind of started looking at different colors and like, what do I feel is like alien to me, and a bunch of sand green parts, and like, oh, that's gonna look really well. And I paired like the trans dark blue, compared to like the grays, certain mechanical details, and I think it's something that turned out really cool.
Was it difficult to find all these elements of sand green, all these different pieces that you ended up using?
Now, sand green is typically a very rare color and hard to find, and I was just lucky enough to find it on the pick-a-brick wall. So, if you're wondering why there's no sand green there, I think I might have possibly got them all, but.
So what tips do you have for someone maybe looking to build large at this type of a scale in terms of like planning, and as this build comes together, what have you learned doing some of these big spaceships over the years?
So I've learned that you really need to have a really strong base. So a few of my previous spaceships, I ended up just using normal bricks and really large plates. But eventually over time, I found that it started wearing out a little bit and started bowing. And so I switched to using lots of the 6x8 Technic bricks inside the frame and making it really thick and strong. And using that, I was able to make a really nice structure along the middle.
Do you have any idea how many pieces are in the whole build?
I'm guessing around 75,000, but no, I didn't painstakingly count them all.
I'm sure it adds up quickly. Well, this is just a tremendous build, so thank you so much for the effort you put into this and your other spaceships. We'll make sure to link in the description below to the other videos we've done with you in the past on some of your amazing spaceships you've brought to Brickworld. Keep up the great work, and thanks for taking us through the build.